Hey guys, this is Dekoba. I am going to be, this is my first video, I'm going to be running a heroic dungeon. I'm a 660 druid tank, so I'm going to be walking through a little bit of what I see and do and think while I do this. So let's see what we get. I do have a number of quests, so I hope I get Blackrock Spire or Battle. Slag Mines is good. Slag Mines is easy. And maybe we can go ahead and get the achievement on here. So what kind of group we have? We have a druid healer. Druid healers are very strong right now, so hopefully it'll work out. Everybody else is pretty low in terms of health, and that hunter just pulled. So I might go ahead and let them suffer for their sins, but no, stupid people. They need to learn to work the time. Anyway, so these guys are pretty simple. I'm not really worried about much of anything in this dungeon. I'm pretty sure I am a geared enough tank that there's very little in here that's of any measure of threat to me. Looks like the healer's a little low on mana. Seems fine. He's coming. Do a quick ready check. I like using ready checks to see how everybody's doing. Looks like the healer's good. Now, one of the achievements in this place is to get the Crowman follower. And what you do for that achievement is you have to collect Crowman. He comes from the boss, the slave master boss, and you have to take him and kill the elemental boss, well, both elemental bosses with him in your group, and then the final boss. So basically, you can't wipe after the first boss kill. And so there are some things that you can do to make this a little bit easier. Notably, you can clear all the trash before you engage any boss fights. And this is a little tedious while you're actually doing it, but once you get through all the trash, then the bosses come real quick, and that's kind of nice sometimes. So you just have to do this. I'm not actually sure how much healing I'm even getting from the healer here, and that's fine. One of the things about bear tanks is that we have very, very strong self heals. So as long as I can maintain combat and keep the hits coming on these enemies, then my rage keeps generating and I can keep healing myself. This isn't flawless, so I'm going to go ahead and pop a cooldown right now. So I may have overpulled as the healer is seeming to have a hard time keeping up. That's the last guy. And we'll sort of recoup and see where we're at. Now for this little side dungeon pull, there's all these ads that keep spawning, and the little baby ads are gonna keep coming out as long as the big ads are alive. So we really need to focus down this big ad. He has 1.5 million health, which is so much health, but he's not too bad as long as people are burning him. I'm going to go ahead and pop a minor offensive cooldown to help speed this along a little bit. It'll also keep my rage bar filled up because I can just spam berserk. Well, I hit berserk, and so I can spam mangle. And that lets me, first of all, it makes mangle an AoE so that it'll help burn down some of these little ads and reduce some of the incoming damage. but it'll also, in the meantime, really push my rage bar, which I can then dump into frenzied regeneration to keep myself alive. Now there's a number of these ads that we need to clear out, and so we'll just go through and burn some of them down. Here's some ogres. Oh, that's a nasty fear. It's alright. Full rage for that. That's one of the things when you're going into these fights where I'm not actually sure how good my healer is. I'm gonna just rest and give him some mana after this little trash pack. Pop another defensive cooldown, a really minor one that time. One of the things I can be doing here, if I really want to make this a little easier but rely more on my healer and less on myself, is use my pulverize cooldowns. Now this will slow my rage generation, so I'll have a little bit less self-healing for a time, but it will increase my survivability in the long term. So I have to count on my healer to keep me alive while I get 3 stacks of lacerate up and then hit pulverize. And that was one of my big mistakes early when I first started tanking, was underestimating the value of things like that. Like, that's a 15% flat damage reduction that is very, very powerful. And it seems like 15%, that's nothing, that's barely going to be enough to matter. But what I found as I've gotten more experienced is that that's exactly frequently what it takes, because 15% less damage on me is 15% more healing on the raid, or 15% more downtime for the healer to keep their mana regen up. So let's ask one more time about Chroma. Go ahead and give them a compliment. They like that. So now that we've cleared all the trash through this area, this is really the room that wipes most groups. This is the final boss. And what it is I have a quest in here too. Olaf's shield. Neat. Like Olaf's shield. Olaf's shield. So as I was saying, really, since we cleared that trash, and now that we can push through some of this other trash, it'll make the rest of the dungeon go much faster. So let's go ahead and knock these guys down real quick. Another thing that I really didn't do for a long time that was kind of a mistake and really has made me a better player is not being afraid to burn cooldowns, even if at the risk of wasting them. I remember for a long time I was a healer, and I refused to use my big healing cooldowns, and ultimately I have determined in the time since that that's not the ideal way to live. And what it really was is I always wanted them available when shit hit the fan, and that was not a bad philosophy. It wasn't unsuccessful. Well, it was a bad philosophy, but it wasn't unsuccessful. When things went bad, I frequently had all my cooldowns up, and I got pretty good at using them to survive that stuff. But what it also did was it really limited me. And this druid is an excellent example. My primary offensive cooldown is Berserk. It's on a 3-minute cooldown, and it boosts my DPS by 3 or 4 times for those 15 seconds. And that's a really big thing. And what it means is a group like this would, if I were just sitting on it, would take 30 or 40 seconds longer. And the amount of time that can be saved, the amount of extra damage you can do, and the ability to push yourself through those situations and get more comfortable using them really makes you a better player. And so I've started to be a little bit more willing to push through some of these fights with cooldowns. And I also try and figure out, you know, I'm getting a little better at gauging how quickly fights will go. And so in this case, I know that the boss is a few minutes away still, so it was safe for me to use my cooldown on that first pack. But I wouldn't, for example, use it on this pack because the boss, we're going to face 2 more ogres after we kill these guys before the boss comes out, and then I will probably want that cooldown for the boss. Although, because we've cleared all the trash, I might even save it for the next boss. Now, I think that if I use it on the pull for this boss and the pull for the next boss, or if I use it on the pull for this boss, we'll probably have it all cool down at least during the next boss fight. So I might go ahead and do that. Now again, I tremendously overleveled this dungeon, so this is not a difficult thing for me. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's do a pull timer, 8 seconds, and I'm gonna go ahead and pre-pot on this one.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, this guy's only got 5.2 million health. You know, after being used to raiding, seeing these bosses with 110, 120 million health, coming in here and seeing one with 5, it's really just hard to be intimidated. Now, one of the things I found as a druid, and this works particularly well in Vanna, is to, when we have knockback effects like that, we can keep spamming Fairy Fire, which does a trivial amount of damage. You know, it's 5,000 on a global cooldown or so, but it is something. One of the things we can do, if the knockback does not include a stun effect, and I'll try and pull it off on this next one, is to use Skull Bash. And this is not something you'll want to do if you need Skull Bash, for example, for an interrupt. But here we go. So in that case, the Skull Bash went off, but it didn't really help, because after he knocked me back, well, first of all, it didn't seem to connect when he knocked me back, but he also jumped away. So he's dead, and now we can go activate Crowman. And then he will be helping us with our fights. So now we have Crowman with us, and he's basically going to come around and keep us company as we go and kill the other bosses. Ah, they dropped a feast. How nice of them. So we got our food buff, and now we can head on back to the other side. Now again, because we cleared all the trash, this should go fairly quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and spec into Feline Swiftness here because Displacer Beast is good. It's actually I believe in flat running, it's a movement speed increase. Oh, I can't change it while it's on cooldown. I know that. But for fights like this next boss fight, there's puddles I want to get out of, and as the tank I want to be able to get over to adds more quickly. And Feline Swiftness lets me stay in bear form. It's just a 15% passive movement speed increase, which makes it really easy to manage and not have to worry about losing my armor bonus in the middle of a fight, something like that. Now another tip for bears, and this is something that I never see people do, and really it doesn't generally matter that much, but you actually, when you go into bear form, you get 10 rage. So if you treat it like a pre-pot, and go into bear form 2 or 3 seconds before the pull, you'll get that little bit of extra rage on the pull. And again, at this point in the fight, having that extra rage is almost never going to matter. But if you take a big hit early, or or particularly if you're trying to min-max, you never know what that little bit will do. You know, if it gives you an extra regen or an extra wall proc or that you can get off or whatever, you can really do well. So we're not going for another achievement in this dungeon. That's to do this without killing these two adds. This group could probably actually do it without too much trouble, but we didn't plan on it. So it's me. And so now we just have to kill the boss. And again, this guy's only got 3.5 million. So gotta pick up all these adds as they spawn, burn them down. This boss does a stun, which I wasn't watching for. That's another thing with that feline swiftness will be helpful for if I keep an eye on it. I've been hit by it twice. There's another ad coming out. This thing again. Make it out, run back in, try and keep him in one place. It's always good to hold the boss in one place for the melee. So they don't have to run all over the place, and so you don't accidentally outrange your healers or something. That's good. Clean, easy kill. Oh, hey, I got gauntlets of burning focus. Just what I always wanted. Those will go well with my heroic warforged throat ripper gauntlets. Let's go ahead and just enchant those things so I can get some more loot from the next boss. Check real quick. Yep. So I only had the one quest to get the shield in here. I didn't have the other one for the ogre head. And so now we come down this way, and we can pull these ogres, beat them up. Oh, I forgot to pop berserk on that last boss, I guess. Go ahead and pull Slagma too. And here's a quest, so I'll go ahead and berserk. Slagn's like a little mini boss with 2 million health. Not really a threat to anybody, but annoying little fight just because you gotta do it. Now normally this next trash pack that's coming up is a rather dangerous one. But I'm going to go ahead and just pull the whole thing. You usually want to CC those 2 casters in the back or one of the enforcers or somebody. Because they do hit pretty hard, and those casters have some pretty nasty ones. There's also the Overseer who casts Subjugate. It's a 10-second stun that can be interrupted. It's really a pain in the butt if it falls on the healer when you're relying on them. So it's good to like I said, limit what all you're fighting here. But I think with this group we'll be fine. I don't think that we're going to struggle very much in here. We seem to have some pretty good folks. Let's go ahead and check our damage meters. These recounts really not a great add-on, but okay. So I'm top damage overall, second DPS. DPS is not fantastic, but not terrible either. We've got a 16k, 17k. Hunter is leading at 24.5, and then I am I'm at 22, roughly. I think that may have been my first time ever getting hit by a fiery boulder. It does a stun, so it's something you'll want to watch out for. Again, I kind of overlevel this. Now on heroic, the boulders roll back, so you gotta watch them there, but there's the heat wave. I want to stay as close to the boss as you can, keep punching him. don't know if Crowman's still alive or not. I can't really tell. Doesn't really matter to me. I already have him as a follower. I already have the achievement, but looks like he may have perished in a previous fight somewhere. Which is weird because I thought we were doing a pretty good job. So it looks like we lost Crowman. That sucks. But that's okay. Now, if you're not overgeared for this place, you will want to use a root for one of these guys because they do hit pretty hard. The only one I know that for sure works is the druid's entangling roots. Breaks on damage, so you don't want to use it. And it's not great for casters, obviously, but these guys are all melee. Now, of course, in this group, I don't think it would really matter, but it doesn't hurt, certainly. And if you're tanking, make sure you taunt the one that you do lose. I'm not gonna use my cooldowns here because the boss is coming, and you really do want to burn this boss quickly because there's a couple of things. The floor gets out of control, so you really want to kill him quickly to avoid that. And you want to go ahead and stack on like players so that the puddles that they spawn onto everybody. You guys are all casters, and so you can just grab them all up and wrangle them and then burn them down. As an overgeared druid tank, I'm not even that overgeared. I'm at about 660. It's the first week of Blackrock Foundry, so half heroic geared, half normal geared, I guess you might say. But as a druid tank, I stacked stamina and multi-strike to get my health up to about 500k. And in a full raid with full raid buffs, I generally sit at 535, 550. Which means that stuff like this doesn't really hurt.
2, 1.
First, I break your spirit, then I send your future.
This boss again is... not that dangerous. It does spawn these ads, and if they get to the sides, then they'll kind of start sucking. So it's important to for DPS to burn them down quickly. Now with there's an achievement for not killing any of those ads and basically just nuking the boss down. This group, if we had a heroism up, I have no doubt that the boss would already be dead, and we could do this without focusing down the ads at all. Go ahead and get him out of there, out of the lava pit, so that melee have a little bit easier time. Oh my gosh, dude just won't stop casting. We're killing him too fast. Alright, there we go. Alright, kill him real quick. And he is dead. And that's heroic Bloodmaul Slag lines. And another helmet for disenchanting. Ooh, an agility flask. Alright, so that's a quick quick dungeon kill. Hope you guys have liked it. It was a good group and a good clean run. No wipes. It's always fun.